3, The Prince of Moziq. Day 2. A bang on the door and a loud cry that followed soon after is what brought me back from the world of slumber. Aspen was still dead asleep, the blue duvet and bed sheets shared the floor's fraction with our clothes, and our legs interconnected like a spider's web. The reflection rays from the ditch's greenish water hit the ceiling, forming swaying lines that were too uncomfortable to gawk with lethargic eyes. I took about a minute trying to figure out the happenings. I had not experienced such sleep in a while. I forced my legs out, they were too feeble. I stumbled and staggered out of sleep, but soon I was all awake and a lot became clear. Flashbacks of that night hit me when I set a glance at the novel Aspen had laying on the floor. She stretched and sprawled to open her eyes. I heard her mumble, "What time is it?" I peeped at my mobile phone and it read 9:36 a.m. She hurriedly got out of bed, collected her lingerie from the floor, sniffed at them, and threw them in the laundry basket. She moved expeditiously, mix-ups written all over her face. She was an early bird and never had the sun found her in bed. We came here to have a rest and enjoy the holiday. Besides, there are workers whose primary task is to undertake the chores you are rushing to do, so relax and catch your breath. You deserve it, I alleged, endeavoring to compose her. Last night was superb, she complimented. You deserve the best. I had no choice but to give you the best, I retorted, winking at her. She stood by the mirror, naked, and straightening her short brown hair. It was then that I noticed she had Venus holes, or Apollo holes as dubbed by some entities. They are butt or back dimples termed Venus dimples after the Roman goddess of beauty and love, Venus. They are symbols of beauty. However, science attributes their formation to the compression of a little ligament between the posterior superior iliac spine and the skin. The point of convergence between the two bones of the pelvis is where the butt dimples are significantly visible. Furthermore, the area has no muscles and hence forcing the skin to expand to fill the space left and thus forming the two holes directly above the midriff. They are attributed to certain characters and perceived to have tremendous advantages health-wise as the high point to a strong physique and good blood flow. Also, Apollo dimples are regarded as sexual, with individuals with beautiful gouges presumed to have a tranquil experience during coitus due to the butthole's capabilities to promote good blood circulation, and heightening climaxing due to their auspicious site in the pelvic region. Persons with Venus dimples are prone to engage in lovemaking more frequently than those without, as they effortlessly get sexually excited and tend to enjoy sex more. However, one can only be born with them, as they cannot be made. Aspen's Apollo dimples were quite noticeable. Their blend with her skinny body and her soft fat ass was perfect. She reached her closet and got lace underwear and a matching bra. She put on a sweater dress and tied it around her tummy, distinguishing her upper body from her abdomen. Her slim thick thighs jutted beautifully, and her feet tucked in her fluffy sandals. I stood there scheming through the novel she had that previous night when she came closer and grabbed me by the balls. It was the most unexpected move. She was full of smiles from my reaction, but they soon faded and she seemed lost in thoughts. "Why that face?" I inquired, and a mute lasted for seconds. She was dumb and it was certain she was not all okay. "Hello. Talk to me," I uttered, pulling her closer. "What is the date?" she asked. It was crystal clear she was worried about the deeds of the previous night. She sat by the bed and placed her index and middle fingers on her eyes, depicting how deep into her thoughts she was. "Common. All will be well," I soothed, but it all fell into dumb ears. She pulled herself away and sauntered around the room, clicking and cursing. "It would be a disgrace if things go south. My mum told me to behave well and that I should always uphold my dignity. I am sure if she were alive she would take me and support me no matter what, but I am afraid. Erin will kill me. She has been nice to me, she accepted me as her child, and she has constantly opined that I should only think of making babies whenever I can support myself. It would be squalor to everything if I got pregnant. I don't know how I will survive, honestly." "Fuck," she muttered with tears filling her eyes. "Relax. It is not even 12 hours since we did it, so be calm, everything will be well. I will make arrangements and get you plan B tabs before it gets late. Thus there is no need to panic, I comforted, promising to get all things in place. If you dare lay a finger on either of my princesses, you'll face it rough. I reminisced Dickwood's terrorizations and I could feel shudders all over my being. My father had never shed any light on what his reactions would be if occurrences took this turn. I was wedged, tangled, and a little bit afraid, but I knew all would be well. Although I would never term myself as religious, I would occasionally read the Bible, and whenever things got tough, for sure I would find something to mollify my spirit. And hope does not disappoint us, because God has poured out His love into our hearts. I recalled the sayings of Romans 5:5, which enriched my state, aided me in overcoming my fears, and reaffirmed to my soul that all would be well. However, there was an evident need for action before things would get out of hand. Evans and Elias will help me out, I said to myself, heightening my poise. It feels good knowing someone got our backs. How do you call a masturbation pro? I jested, tittering, aiming at fluctuating the disposition and restoring the jovial nature that had dominated ever since we met. I guesstimate my mind won't be able to configure that now, so save me the burden, kindly. She alleged, forcing a smile, which for sure was a significant green light that things were shifting towards my goal. A terrorist, I responded, and the impact was instant. You just won't stop overthinking, she remarked, giggling. Maybe, I answered. It seemed like a perfect turnaround, the smile on her face was all I yearned to see. Besides, having a scowling face that early would never be on anyone's bucket list. By the way, would you describe yourself as a morning or evening person? Queried Aspen. She had recovered and her mood changed. I am only a morning person if it involves having sex. Else, I cannot conceive the thought in my head, I replied, making her laugh amusingly. I hate it when someone is too excited in the morning. I will be like, what the fuck, I elucidated, cultivating the subplot. Aspen let out a thunderous that left me with no choice but to let laugh frivolously before she could clarify. Oh. Sorry. She murmured under her merriment, the story regarding morning sex took me a few days ago. My friends and I were conferring on it, and the stories were all amusing. Fuck. I just forgot some funny thing I was about to tell. Like what made me laugh. But anyways, on average all those who praised the morning sex, as you did term it, as a major cause of unwanted pregnancies, there is normally no time to get a rubber. Besides, people are habitually sleepy and they just react to the touches, and customarily, they fall asleep immediately after climaxing, thus there is not much work. Just hitting. I am not an exception, by the way, and just like you, I am not a morning person, she explained. However, almost 98% ruled out early morning kisses, which I guess the reasons are well known to you, added Aspen. I need to use the washroom and get back to my room, then I will see you later, I supposed, getting ready to leave. It is all right. Thank you for keeping me company, Amos. Kidded Aspen, recalling how things got that far. Bye, Anna, I said, placing a peck on her forehead. By the way, there is something you should know, I supplemented, chuckling and pausing to catch her attention. Forehead kisses are for beauties with brains, that is why most of you do not get any, I quipped, and the disappointment on her face told it all. I expected something more serious, she purported, hitting my back repeatedly as I dashed through the door, pretending to be hurt. I passed by Miranda's room, which was beautifully made, but she was not there. I rolled the knob to my room and neither was there. It was about 10 o'clock. The silence that dominated the upper floor of the gigantic fortress triggered a strong urge to check the living room. And for sure everyone was there. Good morning, I hailed, and they all responded unanimously. No sooner had I instigated thoughts on how to signal Aspen than I heard her footsteps impending. How did you know there was a meeting? I inquired as she took the seat next to me. Miranda texted, Rose her riposte. Hello. Good morning, went Lorna's voice. Good morning, Lorna, we all responded in unison and shut our mouths to hear what she had to say. How is my good friend Belle doing? She inquired, and all eyes turned to Verabelle, who calmly projected her vocal saying she was all well. Her face told it all that she felt nice for the recognition. Well, I am glad we all had an awesome night and all has been well. Today the adventure gets to a higher note and I promise you it will be diverting. The premises superintendent will be here in 30 minutes time, please get yourselves ready, she added. The vein was stirring as neither the elderly nor the younger ones had an insinuation on where we would be heading. Ciao Belle. Please come say hi to us, supposed Aspen beckoned a little girl who was not as cheery. What is it, princess? You were crying, right? Queried her cousin, crouching to match their heights. Watch out! I yelled. Her right little finger was wrapped in a white bandage and it was significantly swollen even under the covering. Sorry, alleged Aspen as she quickly withdrew her hand, which was headed towards the bind-up finger. What happened to you, sweetheart? Questioned Aspen as she inspected her limb. She was all mute and her eyes got watery with every second, and momentarily tears rolled down her plump cheeks. She placed her finger by the frame while closing the lavatory door in the morning, answered Thelma. Oops. That hurts. I'm sorry, Belle. You will be all right. Okay. I comforted and she nodded in response. The cause of the loud cry that woke me up had now been set crystal clear. Let's go get ready before we run out of time, proposed Aspen, and we all bobbed in unison. I'll go assist them and I'll see you later, she supplemented as she walked away with the girls. I sauntered to my room, cleaned up, and sat on the well-spread bed for a while evaluating what to put on. The experience is more than I could ever imagine. Everything is stunning and every moment feels so lively. It ought to be the best Easter ever, I thought to myself as I admired the nature-themed room. I am not mad at you, read a note that had been stuck on the wall bearing the day's date. Even a fool would easily comprehend the message and know the weight it had. A lot crossed my mind. I felt bad, uncomfortable, and a defector. It was not my fault anyway, things just escalated too fast. Just then my phone tooted and on taking a glimpse the notification read, "A carrot is orange, but orange is not carrot, but Judas Iscariot." I wished she could understand why everything turned how it did, but my instincts foretold she was a Thomas and thus eradicating the need to explain. Either way, she was jealous and honestly, it felt nice being the epicenter of devotion. I am the hotcake everyone yearns for a bite, I bragged to myself. I'll explain in person, I responded to the text and got up to dress. Shortly I was clad in plain black jeans, and a gray Chinese collar shirt, and as I tied the laces of the black and white low dunk sneakers I had, the thick brown door flew open even without a knock. One did not need a hint to discern it was her. Hi, good morning. Come hug me, I encroached before she could utter a word. She was furious and I couldn't stand a lecture or any negative vibe that early. You smell nice. I complimented, tightening the hug. The blend of her cologne and the shampoo scent in her hair would easily attract the honey-making bees. Thank you, she responded calmly. I hate you, she remarked, play-acting to be infuriated, yet the smile on her face kept broadening. I came here to express my anger, but I don't know what charms you got, she appended, blushing. I knew I had it all. I wished I could admit how deep I felt for her, but instead, the only thing that left my lips was praise on how fine-looking she was in her short mustard off-shoulder flare dress. Besides, the escorting pair of jungle green flats made her look even more stunning. She was a natural beauty and whatever she wore brought out the best in her. Some are born great, some attain greatness, and some have it all thrust upon them. You are a mistress of your own body and it falls for your commands without question. You look perfect, I cajoled, placing a light peck on her cheek and forehead. Apologies about last night. I went out to smoke and a lot happened. I met some implausible guys whom we had some super moments with. You will get to meet them soon, I elucidated to clear the bad blood and slip up she had created in her head. Is this not enough for you? She asked, referencing herself, from head to toe. Girls would always be girlish, and jealousy and their desire for attention will always take a bigger part of their love language. If ever she knew I spent the late part of the night with Aspen, she'd kill me, and thus I had no other option but to glue my mouth. Hey. Take this, I supposed, offering her a chocolate bar. I hope I am now forgiven, I furthered. No. She replied. Before I could even nourish her statement, I felt her breath under mine, and the passion from the kiss told it all. We get going, she said, breaking the smooch. We took the stairs down and everyone was all ready and smart. Good morning, Dad, I saluted as we strode past the tall dark-skinned man groomed in jungle green cargo pants, a short-sleeved vintage shirt that exposed his gigantic masculine build-up, and black open shoes. It felt therapeutic that Mr. Dickwood was on a phone call and hence cancelling the need to greet him. He was becoming a pain in my ass. Have you guys taken your banquet? Inquired my dad. Not yet, I responded. Hurry up then, else you'll have a longer day, added the military officer. Where were you all that long? Queried Miranda. I was with some guys since last night. We've been chanting stories, playing poker, smoking, and doing a lot, Miranda. It seems you won't trust me, but do not worry. I will tag you with me later. You will experience it yourself. I lied, adding some spice that would switch off her inquisitiveness. Let me accompany you to the dining room. Although I cannot even take an extra bite, she suggested, and we strode away without a word. Aaron and Nicole were on their way out as we ambled in. They both looked stunning. Aaron wore a pair of black soft jeans, a white tube top, and a checked thermos shirt which she left unbuttoned, while my mum was arrayed in a straight black skirt and a fitting snake print blouse. Their faces were full of smiles and health that they would naturally brighten any dull face. It was Easter. The mood away from work and official chores made everyone glow. There was a wide range of nourishments to choose from, and I opted for a bagel, baguette, and yogurt. It was not long before Aspen, Thelma, and Belle came in, all dressed to impress. You look wow. I applauded. How the two lasses looked maleficent in whatever they wore still amazed me. Aspen's slim body covered with a pair of sexy black palazzo pants and a pink one-hand crop top that left her tiny waist exposed drove me nuts. I had to leave before I ruined the day, as Miranda was all vigilant and jealous. I don't know how I will get myself out of this hook, I said to myself as things would get tighter. It was only the second day, less than 24 hours since we met, and things were already starting to get out of hand. A few minutes later a motor vehicle drove into the compound and hooted for a while before the engine was shut. An elderly man jumped out of the vehicle, inspected it for a while, and sat on a bench that was only inches away from where he packed. He beckoned both Thelma and Vera when his glance met them, and they matched after consulting Aspen. He seemed all nice and their conversation heightened with every passing second.